The dog has saved my life. My dog Louie has saved my life because I have to get up out of bed. He has to be fed. Sometimes it takes everything I have. Who am I? I do pottery. I'm very creative with my hands. I'm Catholic. I'm very proud of being Catholic. And as far as being bipolar, I don't really tell too many people right away that I am until you get a little closer to me. Because I won't talk about it because there's still a stigmatism that goes behind it. They think that I was probably a child when I had this, but I was not diagnosed until I was 25. You know, you see those atoms and they're constantly clashing and hitting each other, and there's a whole gazillion of them. Well, that's what it feels like inside. It just feels like nothing but chaos, and your mind is just going 90 miles an hour, and it never stops. It was never pretty noise. I would have these arguments in my head, a lot of talking and yelling. Oh man, inside of my head, I would have these conversations and they would be yelling back and forth. Without medication, it's nuts. With medication, I can be quiet and the thoughts and stuff like that don't bother me so much. I saw a therapist and she's telling me all these things. You know, you could be sad for no reason. Then you could be really happy and excited, and you could spend lots of money, you could be sexually active. And she's telling me all these things, and I'm thinking to myself in my head going, this is me my whole life. I felt a huge sense of relief. I felt like, okay, I'm not really losing my mind. There really is something wrong with me. Because for all those years, I knew I was always so emotional. As a child, I would get upset and I would go hide in the closet. I would just sit there and cry and knew no reason. So she sent me to a doctor. He wasn't a very good doctor. He just put me on an antidepressant. I didn't know much about being bipolar. I didn't know the questions to ask. I just knew that something was wrong and he was supposed to be helping me. One day I was hanging off the couch and I go, you know what? Something's really wrong. Finally, I got to this one doctor, and they're like, well, what are you taking? I'm like, Zoloft. And they're like, you're not on anything else? You need to come in now. And I went in, and come to find out, when you're bipolar, you probably should be on a mood stabilizer and an antidepressant. So when I hit my highs, I was really high because I was on an antidepressant that was supposed to kick me out of being depressed. They did tell me it was going to get worse before it got better. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I was like, I'm fine. I was like, I'm ready to hit this head on. And they were like, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And did it ever get worse? It got really bad. So I moved to New York thinking that everything was great. And I could not find a good doctor for the life of me. That's when I tried to kill myself. That is when I was the sickest that I had ever been. You know, I ended up in the hospital for 3 or 4 weeks. And then they couldn't find any medicines to get me balanced, but they could kick me in the butt by giving me ECT. So I spent 3 weeks in the hospital, but I lost several years of my life by having ECT. My memories are just shot. When I tell you it was quiet inside of me, you're talking about how you go from complete and total chaos to absolutely nothing. There's nothing in your mind. There's nothing in your heart. There's nothing in your belly. There was nothing. I obviously wasn't a very nice person, but I don't remember not being a nice person. I remember the day I got out of hospital and I went back to work. All of a sudden, I got a blind copy in an email of where every person that I worked with while I was gone, they all went to my boss. and said, she says this and she says that, and she's not a very nice person, and, what can we do to get rid of her? I went to my boss. This is bad. You sent this to human resources. But they couldn't do anything about it because I did my work. I just think that I must have been just not a very nice person. Even as a child, I think of, like, when I was mean. I must have been a difficult child. And I must have been a difficult adult, because why would someone, this was like 5 or 6 women, all got together and went to my boss complaining about me. So, I think about that sometimes. It is hard. Because I just don't know if I was socially able. Well, here's the thing about the medicine. I was very religious once I found out I was bipolar. It seems strange, but I was excited. For me, it seemed like it had been going on a long time. So I religiously would take whatever they told me to take. I don't think I ever felt better until 10 years later, because it was so difficult to find what would work and what wouldn't. The medicines that they have me on, I take twice a day. They told me I would have to take it for the rest of my life. I went through periods where I was like, can I come off of this, and they're like, no, you can't. I'm more peaceful, even though sometimes, my mind goes, when I try to sleep and stuff like that, it goes 90 miles an hour. Not quite 90 miles an hour, maybe 50. I still have that noise. When I'm throwing my pots in my studio, I will turn the radio on because I get very relaxed and the thoughts come quick. But I have found that I can go for a walk now without any music, and I can just listen to nature. There are just times during the month that I can't. Still, it's manageable. I would never wish that feeling and that chaos on anyone. I calmed down enough to let God into my life and to understand what He was trying to do. I now have better relationships, healthy relationships. I covet them, and they mean a lot more to me. I wouldn't change what happened to me, because I don't think that I would have come to be the person that I am today. And I believe I'm a better person now.